What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to give you our predictions and bets for Week 1 in the NFL. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, before we get into today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video as it will help us out tremendously. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video. All right, Nick, with Week 1 here, we are ready to go, and we have our first game on the schedule, the Buffalo Bills at the Los Angeles Rams. Nick, what are your thoughts on this game?
This is a massive game and the best way to start off the season. We've got the Buffalo Bills, who were almost there in the Super Bowl last year, and the defending champion Los Angeles Rams, who are going through that banner unveiling. I think there's going to be a lot of emotions running high for both teams, but the Los Angeles Rams getting Aaron Donald back, Matthew Stafford is still there, Cooper Kupp, the Triple Crown winner, and you add Bobby Wagner to the mix with Jalen Ramsey. This is too much to stop. I don't think that Josh Allen will be able to get the job done without his partner in crime on the other side of the field, Tre'Davious White, and the Rams will get the job done in Week 1.
Yeah, moving on to the first Sunday matchup, we have the Baltimore Ravens taking on the New York Jets in MetLife Stadium. This is going to be an interesting game. Lamar Jackson with no new contract, playing with an expiring deal. It's going to be a question mark as to how much effort does he try to protect himself. Is he running as much as he had? There's a lot of question marks. Nevertheless, I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens in this game. I think that they are just too high-powered. No Zach Wilson for the New York Jets. They are still trying to figure things out on both sides of the football. Robert Saleh is really trying to figure out his football team. The Baltimore Ravens know that they have aspirations much bigger than the New York Jets. They come out with a victory in Week 1.
Next up, we have the 49ers going up against the Chicago Bears. Now, the Bears making slight improvements. We've seen Justin Fields look really good throughout the preseason. But when we take on this 49ers defense, it's a different story because you got Nick Bosa in your face, you've got Arik Armstead, you've got Javon Kinlaw. That's a big front seven to go up against, and I don't think Justin Fields is going to have any of that preseason magic come to fruition in this matchup. Trey Lance is going to have a great game, not a strong defense to go up against, and I think the 49ers are going to just absolutely trounce the Chicago Bears in Week 1.
Moving over to the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Houston Texans, a big AFC South division matchup. This is a matchup of two teams that are just in separate spots right now. The Colts are looking for a division title. They're looking at the postseason. They are the team to beat in their division, where the Houston Texans, they're still trying to figure things out. They've started to put pieces around Davis Mills. Maybe he's the quarterback of the future. A lot of question marks on this team as they figure things out. I think the Indianapolis Colts walk away with an easy victory in Week 1.
Up next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on division foe Cincinnati Bengals, who were just in the Super Bowl. And we're going to see this improved offensive line go up against the greatest defensive player of last season in TJ Watt, the guy who tied the sack record in only 15 games. He is looking to get that record this season, and he's going to really test this offensive line. But with the connection of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, it's going to be too much. And Mitch Trubisky, with the weapons around him, are still not going to be able to do anything about it, and the Cincinnati Bengals will come out on top.
For our next matchup, we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Hard Knock Sweetheart Detroit Lions. The Philadelphia Eagles, one of the most improved, if not the most improved teams in the NFL. The Detroit Lions got much better as well, but the Philadelphia Eagles were a playoff team last year. The Detroit Lions were the second worst team in the NFL. So both teams improving. I still take the Philadelphia Eagles. They have Super Bowl aspirations. With a roster this loaded, they are going to trounce the Detroit Lions, and they are going to give them a taste of their own medicine. I love what Dan Campbell's doing, but it's just not going to be enough to get past Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles in a big victory in Week 1.
Next up, we have another divisional matchup with the New Orleans Saints taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Marcus Mariota has replaced Matt Ryan, and in Arthur Smith's system, this is going to be a very flood-heavy offense where they're going to be in motion quite a bit. They're going to be moving around, and that offensive line that was porous last season is going to be on the move. They're not going to be utilized the same way. We'll see if their athleticism can improve their game. But for the New Orleans Saints, they've added a lot of veteran depth, and I think that's going to help them out a lot. it's going to be rocky for the Atlanta Falcons early on, and I don't see them being able to get past the New Orleans Saints in week 1.
Next up, we have the New England Patriots taking on their division rival Miami Dolphins. This is a massive game for both teams. The Miami Dolphins came in week 1 last year to Foxborough and took it to the Patriots for the Patriots to come all the way back, fumble on the goal line, and lose the game that way. These two teams are very, very evenly matched, but the addition of Tyreek Hill is what is going to set the Dolphins up in this one. The Patriots have not seen Tyreek Hill with Tua Tagovailoa and this Mike McDaniels offense. It's going to be a learning curve for the Patriots. I believe that the Dolphins come out with a victory in week 1.
Next up, we have a great matchup in the Cleveland Browns taking on the Carolina Panthers. Now, this is a big game because we have Baker Mayfield as the new starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, and what a way to start off the season, him taking on his foe of a former team, and they are entering his house. He is here to prove that he can still do it, and with new weapons, Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore, there's a lot of offense to go around for the Carolina Panthers, and that defense is going to be sneaky good. To me, we're not going to see anything good with the Cleveland Browns until Deshaun Watson comes back. Jacoby Brissett is a great backup, but he's just that, a backup, and won't be able to do anything against Carolina. I'm going to take the Panthers in week 1.
Moving on, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Washington Commanders. And you talk about a revenge game. Well, we have Carson Wentz taking on the team that kept him from the playoffs last year in Indianapolis, the Jacksonville Jaguars. And this is his time to shine. The Washington Commanders have put a squad around Carson Wentz. They are going to try to do everything they can to compete in the NFC East. They are one of the teams that has done a lot on both sides of the football to try to improve. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, so much better right now. Travis Etienne coming back. Trevor Lawrence with his chemistry and his ability to get the ball deep down the field. New acquisition, money wide receiver Christian Kirk is going to make a splash in this one. And obviously the head coaching change of Doug Peterson coming in. That is going to be a massive step up. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars with the upset victory in week 1.
Well, next up, we have another coaching change with the New York Giants taking on the Tennessee Titans. And this is going to be a very interesting offense to watch for the New York Giants. With Brian Daboll's system and what he was able to do for Josh Allen, can he resurrect the career of Daniel Jones? Because they have a lot of wide receiving weapons for him to work with. And it's all about whether he can put it together. This offensive line's improving. But when you look at the Tennessee Titans, they still have a strong defense with Jeffrey Simmons. No Harold Landry because of the torn ACL, but we're still going to get a lot of pressure from the edge, and that's going to be a big challenge for Daniel Jones. It's going to be interesting to see if he can do it, but at the end of the day, it won't matter because Derrick Henry is on the other side of the field, Treylon Burks and Robert Woods working with Ryan Tannehill. It's just going to be a little too much offense, and I just think that the Titans are on a far different level than the Giants at the current moment.
Next up, we have another division rivalry, this time the Green Bay Packers taking on the Minnesota Vikings. This is a crazy 4 o'clock slotted game, one of the best division rivalries we have in football, and we saw one of the great Packers of last season's team go to this Minnesota Vikings defense, that being Zadarius Smith, taking on his former team in his house. Aaron Rodgers losing Devontae Adams, got to figure out the weapons on this offense. He still has Aaron Jones, still has A.J. Dillon. They are going to be able to run the ball smoothly and well against this Minnesota Vikings team. But can Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen put it together against this Packers team? I believe that the Minnesota Vikings will come out with a come-from-behind, last-second victory over their division rival Green Bay Packers.
Wow. Next up, in another 425 matchup, we have the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Now, as we all know, DeAndre Hopkins will not be in this game. It's going to make it much more difficult for the Cardinals to be victorious, but they added Hollywood Brown, and that's going to be a big weapon for Kyler Murray, his former college wide receiver. They have that connection. They can get back to business like the old days, and it won't take that much time, and that's going to be something interesting to watch out for, something that the Chiefs really don't have much tape on. It's going to be hard to stop early on, but when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs Chiefs defense. They looked decent last year and they got better this offseason. On that defensive line, they added George Karlaftis, who's going to be opposite Frank Clark with Chris Jones in the middle. Very strong up front, and it's going to be tough against James Conner. And then you've got Trent McDuffie to go along with this secondary, who's going to go up against Hollywood Brown and Rondell Moore, not the scariest wide receivers in the NFL. To me, the Kansas City Chiefs have the better defense right now. They've got a stronger and sounder offense at the moment, and they're going to have the stronger week 1 performance and get a victory.
Moving on, we have the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Los Angeles Chargers in SoFi Stadium. This is going to be one hell of a matchup, as this was the final game that decided the playoff picture last year, with the Chargers narrowly losing to the Raiders and being bounced from the playoff picture. It was a storybook ending, not great for the Chargers, but perfect for Rich Bisaccia and company when it came to the Raiders. Nonetheless, both teams drastically improved. Davante Adams coming to the Las Vegas Raiders was a massive upgrade to this wide receiving core to pair along with Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller. This offense is going to be nasty. When you take a look at the Los Angeles Chargers, they made some significant upgrades themselves with J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, really getting things going on the offensive side of the ball as well. No J.C. Jackson in this one, though, as he is hurt, and that might be the difference, as I believe that the Las Vegas Raiders will get yet another victory over the Los Angeles Chargers in this one. Call it an upset if you want, but I believe that the Las Vegas Raiders are just primed for a Week 1 victory.
Now, for our Sunday night matchup, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking their talents to Dallas this time in Week 1, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it compares to Week 1 last year when these teams faced off. In that game, we saw Amari Cooper have a big game, but he is not available for the Dallas Cowboys anymore. They have to work with CeeDee Lamb, and they have to work with Jalen Tolbert because Michael Gallup is still recovering from his torn ACL. This is not a very strong offense for the Dallas Cowboys like it was last year. Ezekiel Elliott still has to prove himself with a banged up offensive line, and I just don't know if Dak Prescott is going to have the time in the pocket to read his routes and get the ball out. And for the Buccaneers, we see a similar situation where they also have a banged up offensive line, but you have Tom Brady under center, and you know he'll be able to get the ball out with whoever he has protecting him in front of him, and it's going to work out. It'll be just fine. For that reason, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be the stronger team in Week 1. They have TB12, and that's going to be the reason they get a big victory in Sunday Night Football Week 1.
2 years in a row, and then we're talking about a rivalry. The final game of Week 1, we have the Denver Broncos taking on the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle with the 12th man, Russell Wilson. Broncos country, let's ride. That's right. Russell Wilson is coming home. He has to face the Seattle Seahawks Week 1 in his Broncos tenure. I don't know how the schedule makers were able to plan this so perfectly, but nonetheless, we see Russell Wilson taking this Broncos offense with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. We see Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon, really just absolutely potent everywhere you look. The offensive line is spectacular. They are going to be able to put up points. The defensive side of the ball, they are young, they are hungry, they can get after the quarterback. And when you take a look at the Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson's gone, but Geno Smith is in. I don't really like him as the heir apparent to what Russell Wilson's legacy was left in Seattle, and for that reason alone, I would take the Seahawks to lose. But when you look at the rest of this roster, outside of Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, we don't see too many big names. We don't see a lot of things that are really just sparking you to say, you know what, this is a team that can compete. I believe that the Seattle Seahawks are one of the worst, if not the worst teams in the NFL. With that reason, I have the Denver Broncos winning this game handily.
Yeah, it should be handily, and if we see anything less than 5 passing touchdowns from Russell Wilson, this is going to be a disappointment. I want him to have some anger. I want him to show a lot of emotion going up against his former team, a team that wrote him off and thought that he couldn't do it anymore. I want to see this be the game it needs to be.
I want to see him be Mr. Unlimited. That's right. All right, well, I want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of our Week 1 predictions. Let us know if you guys decide to make any bets as well, as we have posted the odds for every single game this week. All right, well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.